and at the same time a full-time student.
In our third and final video, Christy Kilder from the Survey Warehouse shares statistics of urbanization and gives background on the survey conducted for the impact of COVID-19 by the Namibian Employers Federation and Skills Initiative for Africa. The two-day event was held at Hilton Hotel in Windhoek. Let's take a look.
Between 2011 and 2041, the urban population will increase from 41% to 67%. So from 1991 to 2041, the urban population has increased threefold. What does it say for us? There's a huge demand for jobs. So unless we look at the demands in urban areas, but also the capacity of rural areas, for example, to produce food, are all affected by this. We know it's younger people that are leaving. So part of what happens in urban areas, that the urban areas get the younger people, but they also get the better educated people. Just back. By 2041, 1/3 of the population will live either in Khomas or in Irongo. Again, to come back to food production, these are not food-producing areas per se. Between 2015 and 2030, Khomas will grow with 60% and Irongo with 57%. These are tremendous growth rates, but will also speed up the demand for jobs.
All papers talk media budget, which was launched yesterday by the Finance Minister Ipumbushimi. And
Christmas Namibia is a weekly tourism show that brings you the latest news in the tourism industry and topics related to that. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact tourismus@synergy.com.na for news and advertising related queries. Tourismus, bring the world to Namibia.
A review on page 1 of the Namibian Sun newspaper. It reports bigger income and higher disability grants, as well as promises of tax breaks and increased monthly state pensions, marked Finance Minister Ipumbushimi's media budget review yesterday as he pumped the total expenditure for 2023 to 2024. From 2022 to 2023 up by nearly $4 billion Namibian. The primary focus of fiscal policy in the near to medium term is to shield the economy from the impact of the spike in international energy and food prices, Shimi said, referring to the devastating spillovers stemming from Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The minister could afford being generous as $64.1 billion Namibian, mainly on the back of corporate tax of mining and non-mining companies, stronger income tax collections, value-added tax, and dividends. On the paper's page 3, it reports that economic activist Michael Amushelelo, on behalf of unemployed and impoverished Namibians under the banner of the Black People Economic Emancipation Association, has petitioned government to reform the current legislative system that has left ordinary Namibians out in the cold while only the political elite benefit from its resources. According to him, the ideas of planning and reporting. So it remains to be seen whether this surprise package will be as well received by the economic powers that be as it was received by the men on the street. On its page 3, the Allgemeine Zeitung brings a report of representatives of the organization's support in Namibia of albinism sufferers, requiring assistance, who recently signed a financing agreement with the German embassy. Sinarasa will receive 97,444 for the purchase of special binoculars to be distributed to members of the community suffering from albinism. Sinarasa works with local optometrists to assess people's vision and ensure the special glasses are fitted to meet their needs. We'll be back with more newspaper review. Do stay with us.
In Business 7, you get news on current economic, financial, and business matters in Namibia. The weekly show features interviews with experts and in-depth analysis of burning issues in a way that caters for ordinary Namibians and business connoisseurs alike. For news-related or advertising queries, please contact b7@synergy.com.na.
Let's continue with our newspaper review. Fish rod accused lawyer Marin de Klerk says intelligence sources have tipped him off that people have been hired to kill him. Court documents filed last month show that de Klerk's lawyer have discussed the possibility of him never returning to Namibia for safety reasons. In another story, the paper dissects the midterm budget review delivered by Finance Minister Ipumbu yesterday. The paper reports that leaders of the opposition said that Shimi tabled the balanced budget with the intention to campaign for SWAPO. Shimi yesterday announced that expected revenue for the fiscal year would increase by 4.4 billion Namibian dollars and expenditure would also increase by 4 billion Namibian dollars. On page 3, the Namibian newspaper reports that the president of the National Unity Democratic Organization, Esther Muyaringwae, says she remains committed to the genocide cause and is calling on the German government to return to the negotiation table. In a separate story, the Hentis Bay resident accused of kidnapping and reportedly raping his former girlfriend in June 2018 was found not guilty on 5 of the 6 charges he faced in the Windhoek High Court yesterday.
New Era's page 1 also highlights the budget tabled yesterday by Finance Minister Ipumbu, stating that it was much to the expectation of local analysts. Finance Minister Ipumbu yesterday tabled a 2022 to 2023 midterm budget review that reflects a resource allocation that is both poor and sustainable. In another story, the SWAPO Secretary General aspirant Armas Amukwiyu has taken a dig at the party's purported dormant secretariat, which has placed the former liberation movement on an autopilot from an administrative perspective. The National Unity Democratic Organization yesterday said they are not worried by the Overhead Traditional Authority under academic Mushinde Kashiwa's close ties with the Landless People's Movement on the matter of genocide. Kashiwa recently confirmed to New Era that his traditional authority has chosen LPM ahead of NUDO to pursue the issue of genocide.
In our next story now, according to Market Watch, lack of service land hampers progression of home ownership and socio-economic well-being, as well as capital formation in families. The presence of service land is not just an asset accounted for in the recent. It represents the promise of prosperity and economic activity for the future. These remarks were made by the Development Bank of Namibia CEO Martin Inkumbi at the launch of the Ausblick Extension 1, a public-private partnership between Cinco Investment and the city of Windhoek.
India's recent curbs on rice exports could trigger a rally in global prices after more than a decade of stability. Economic news coming up right after the break with Aina Raizakoya.
In our economic news this afternoon, India's recent curb on rice export could trigger a rally in global prices after more than a decade of stability. Traders said as New Delhi's protectionist move coincides with a falling output in another major producer and rising global demand. Uneven monsoon rain hit rice planting in India, prompting the export restrictions in September, and floods have cut output in Pakistan, even as consumption has grown in top importers such as Bangladesh and the Philippines. That's why forecasters are saying global demand will outstrip production in the 2022-2023. This is bad for Asian and African countries that use rice as a staple, some of which import as much as 60% of their supply. Since India, the world's biggest rice exporters, banned exports of broken rice and slapped a 20% export tax on some non-basmati varieties. Global rice prices have jumped more than 10%. Last month, the Food and Agriculture Organization Global Rice Price Index rose 2.2% to hit an 18-month high. Governments worldwide had already been struggling to tame food inflation because of COVID-19 disruptions to production and supply chain. And then Russia's invasion of Ukraine removed millions of tons of foodstuff from global markets, pushing inflation to a record earlier this year. Now in our next story, amid the frustration with electricity rationing, higher inflation and global economic slowdown, South Africans can find some cheer in the remarkable performance of the country's agricultural sector. The establishment of the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization 77 years ago was recently commemorated with an annual World Food Day, providing an opportunity to assess the global disposition towards food security. The Global Food Security Index, compiled by economists and sponsored by Corteva, represents the global benchmark for international comparisons. The 2022 index shows that South Africa has recovered a record leap, namely from the 70th position in 2021 to 59th. South Africa is now the most food secure country on the African continent, with Tunisia in second place at 62nd. Only 113 countries possess agriculture sector that are worthy of inclusion in the index based on the extent of their development, diversity, and sophistication in meeting the demand of food. South Africa's improvement is especially evident in three of four sub-indexes, namely food availability, food quality and safety, and sustainability and adoption. Now we take a look at our economic indicators. The Namibian dollar is down in value when weighed against the US dollar and the Chinese yuan. No changes are seen on the NSX, with most stock prices remaining the same. Overall index closed higher on the NSX, while overall index and all stock prices remain the same. Gold prices are up in price by 0.61%, while other commodities observed a drop in price. The Gambian Parliament will today convene for an extraordinary session to debate the deaths of nearly 70 children linked to a cough syrup made in India. More on this when we return. Stay with us.
Take a load off and tune into another episode of Brave Namibia as we take a look at both ordinary and extraordinary Namibians. Brave Namibia is broadcasted on NTV Saturdays at 6:30 p.m. and oneup2.com, as well as broadcasted on the following Facebook platforms on Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. Republican, Allgemeine Zeitung, Namibian Sun, and all Namibia Media Holdings pages. For more information, contact the Brave team at brave@synergy.com.na. Brave Namibia, for the ordinary and extraordinary Namibians.
In the news from our beautiful African continent, the Gambian Parliament will today convene for an extraordinary session to debate the deaths of nearly 70 children linked to a cough syrup made in India. The children were diagnosed with serious kidney problems. Wednesday's session in Parliament will be the first by lawmakers in the country since the tragedy happened earlier this month. Gambian health authorities said there were no more new cases, but there are 82 existing cases and 12 recoveries. Most of the existing cases involve children aged 1 and 2 years. Civil society organizations in the country are mounting pressure on the authorities to take action against those responsible for importing the drugs. Health officials and Red Cross have started a second phase of recalling the cough syrup. Police investigations have established that the Medicine Control Agency was established without a laboratory tested for the safety of the drugs. President Adama Barrow has set up a commission of inquiry to investigate the death of the children. Malawi's President Lazarus Chakwera has fired Agriculture Minister Lobin Lowe and his deputy Modalitso Kambua Warima over what he termed incompetence and gross negligence following serious fertilizer procurement scandal, with sole Malawi government being dubbed out of $725,000. Speaking in his national address on Tuesday, Chakwera said he has relieved Lowe and Warima of their high incompetence and gross negligence over management of this year's Affordable Input Program. President Chakwera made the announcement in a televised address on Tuesday evening. The Agriculture Minister is accused of botching the implementation of a program in which Malawian rural farmers are provided with subsidized fertilizers and farm inputs. Now, the president has since appointed Sema Kawele, formerly the Lands Minister, to replace Master Lowe. The president said more changes in his cabinet would be coming in due course. Tanzanian authorities says more than 400 porters and tour guides have joined groups battling a fire that broke out at Africa's highest peak, Mount Kilimanjaro, which has been spreading due to strong winds. It comes as the fire reignited in areas that were previously under control. More than 500 officers from the defense and security forces, alongside tourism stakeholders, have been fighting the fire that started on Friday. The permanent secretary in charge of tourism, Prof. Eliama, said the fire had reignited in 3 areas by early Tuesday, and they only had managed to contain one of the areas by the evening. 2 years ago, a week-long inferno destroyed thousands of hectares of woodland on the slope of the mountain. Now, Mount Kilimanjaro, which is 5.895 meter high, is a popular tourist destination, and tens of thousands of people climb it every year. An unparalleled scale of response would be warranted if North Korea conducts a 7th test of nuclear weapons. This story and more with Glenora Shipura in our international news slot. Stay with us.
The Evening Review is a daily interview-based talk show that dissects and expounds on current affairs as they occur in Namibia. The show aims at reaching Namibians of all age groups who seek better understanding of the state of current affairs in the country. This show is broadcasted on NTV, oneup2.com, and cross-shared on the following Facebook platforms: Namibian Sun and Namibia Media Holdings. The Evening Review focuses on interviews, latest news, and up-to-the-minute current events. Contact evening@synergy.com.na. Evening Evening Review, unpacking today's pertinent issues.
This is still NMH at 1. Let's take a look at our international news stories. An unparalleled scale of response will be warranted if North Korea conducts a 7th test of a nuclear weapon, the United States, Japan, and South Korea have warned. The warning was issued this morning amid concerns by the U.S. and its regional allies that North Korea could be poised to resume nuclear bomb testing for the first time since 2017. We agreed that an unparalleled scale of response would be necessary if North Korea pushes ahead with the 7th nuclear test. South Korean First Five Foreign Minister Cho Yong-dong told a news conference in Tokyo. Cho made his comments alongside Japan's Vice Foreign Minister Takeo Mori and U.S. Deputy Secretary of State Wendy Sherman. North Korea has been carrying out weapon tests at an unprecedented pace this year, firing more than 24 short and medium-range ballistic missiles in recent weeks, including a missile that overflew Japan. We urge North Korea to refrain from further provocation, Sherman said, calling the North's action reckless and deeply destabilizing for the region. Getting into our second story, NASA scientists using a tool designed to study how dust affects climate have identified more than 50 methane-emitting hotspots around the world, a development that could help combat the potent greenhouse gas. NASA said yesterday that its Earth's surface mineral dust source investigation had identified more than 50 methane super emitters in Central Asia, the Middle East, and the southwestern United States since it was installed in July on board the International Space Station. The newly measured methane hotspots, some previously known and others just discovered, include sprawling oil and gas facilities and large landfill sites. Methane is responsible for roughly 30% of the global rise in temperatures to date. Circling Earth every 90 minutes from its perch on board the space station some 400 kilometers high, EMIT is able to scan vast tracts of the planet dozens of kilometers across, while also focusing in on areas as small as a football field. Remarkable indeed. After the break, we'll take a look at our sports news. Do stay with us.
The Agenda is a weekly national affairs interview program hosted every Sunday by Namibian Sun editor Toyvon Jabela, featuring a panel of high-profile newsmakers, analysts, and experts. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact agenda@synergy.com.na. The Agenda, focused on today's conversation.
Let's take a look at our local sports news. The international boxers who are set to battle MTC Nestor's Sunshine Boxing and Fitness Academy fighters had arrived by yesterday ahead of the anticipated boxing bonanza this coming weekend. The Together as One Part 8 boxing bonanza will take place this Saturday at the Ramatex complex, with the MTC Nestor Sunshine Academy lining up some of its hard-hitting title holders. Promoter Nestor Sunshine Tobias said that all logistics are in place for what he expects to be one of the biggest boxing events of the year. The Namibian Canoe and Rowing Federation, an affiliate of the Namibian Sports Commission and the Namibian National Olympic Committee, in conjunction with the Commonwealth Rowing Association, will host Namibia's first CRA Beach Sprint Championship from the 2nd to the 4th December at Independence Beach in Walvis Bay. NCRF is a member of the International Canoe Federation. It is also a continental affiliate of the Confederation of Africa Canoeing, Commonwealth Rowing Association, Africa Rowing Federation, and the World Rowing Federation. Namibian junior cyclists competing at this year's Nedbank Desert Dash say the iconic 24-hour race, which takes riders through the oldest desert in the world, is one every cyclist should have on their bucket list. Daniel Hahn, who made his debut in a 4-person team at the 2021 edition of the event, said his first experience, although it was a podium finish, was not enough. He and his team are aiming for top honors in the 4-man team category this year. Well, we certainly hope he wins. After the break, we take a look at our international sports news. Do stay with us. Getting into our international sports news, Paris Saint-Germain Lionel Messi and Kylian Mbappe both scored twice, with Neymar also on target as the French club's fearsome attack tore apart Maccabi Haifa in a 7-2 win to send them into the last 16 of the Champions League on Tuesday. The irrepressible trio were too much for a Maccabi side to handle, although the Israelis showed great heart in the Group H clash, with Abdallah Yesake scoring twice. RB Leipzig took a big step closer to the Champions League knockout stage with a 3-2 home win over Real Madrid on Tuesday. The German side are second in Group F on 9 points, 1 behind leaders Real and 3 ahead of Shakhtar Donetsk, whom they will face in their final group game next week, in need of a draw to guarantee them a top 2 spot. With Real Madrid already having qualified for the last 16, manager Carlo Ancelotti rested several regular starters, and his side were dominated early by the young Leipzig team. Now, Mamelodi Sundowns have been dealt a huge blow after head coach Ruleni Mokoena confirmed that Namibian international star striker Peter Shalulile has been ruled out for the rest of the year after undergoing surgery. After the break, we take a look at the highlights. To stay with us.
Namibia's hospitality is as vibrant as its people. Join the What's Cooking team as they travel the country cooking, chatting, and celebrating local personalities and the joy of food. If you think you have a standout offering, whether it's a restaurant, bar, pop-up event, or braai stand, get in touch with the What's Cooking team at cooking@synergy.com.na, and we will be there to show the world what's cooking. Programs air every Friday at 4 p.m. on all the NMH Facebook platforms, as well as on NTV, DSTV channel 285, and GoTV channel 94 at 9 p.m.
Thank you very much for watching our show this afternoon. If you are just joining us, here are our highlights. The Gambian Parliament will today convene for an extraordinary session to debate the death of nearly 70 children linked to a cough syrup made in India. An unparalleled scale of response would be warranted if North Korea conducts a 7th test of nuclear weapon. The United States, Japan, and South Korea have warned. International boxers set to battle MTC Nestor Sunshine Boxing and Fitness Academy fighters had arrived by yesterday ahead of the much anticipated boxing bonanza this coming weekend.
Those have been your highlights. Remember to tune in every weekday at 1 p.m. to spend your lunch hour with NMH at 1, catching up on the latest news in Namibia, Africa, and the world, ranging from current affairs, economic news, sports, and international headlines. That's it from us in studio, but don't go away, because up next is Erongo Talk with news from Namibia's coastal region.
Hallo kykers en welkom by nog 'n episode van julle gunsteling en hoogs betroubare aanlyn nuusbron Erongo Talk. Dankie vir julle almal wat gereeld saam met ons kuier. Ons bring vir julle die nuus, die weer en vertel ook vir julle waar die vis heel moontlik gaan byt. Marshall Mini het in 'n oop riooldrain op Walvisbaai beland en hy vertel vir ons van die aaklige ondervinding. Maar soos gebruiklik is ons kalenderdag ons eerste op die lys en vandag vier ons internasionale kopdoekdag. Geniet hierdie video insetsel saam met ons. En nou vir vandag se nuus. Marshall Minnie het in Sam Njomeland in die dorp gestap toe hy in 'n oop mangat oorkant Kasamia hotel geval het. Minnie was op pad om 'n energiedrankie by 'n vulstasie te koop toe hy in die mangat ongeveer 2 meter diep gevul met onlasting en riool verdwyn het. Hy sê hy was gelukkig om nie sy bewussyn te verloor toe hy in die drein geval het nie. Minnie het vir so wat 10 minute gesukkel voordat hy daarin geslaag het om homself uit die mangat te bevry. Hy het snywonde en oopwonde aan sy been opgedoen. Hy het na die kliniek gegaan en 'n tetanus inspuiting gekry en moet nog vir ekstrale gaan om vas te stel of hy beserings aan sy bekken en heup opgedoen het en of hy 'n operasie nodig het. Hy ontvang ook berading omdat dit 'n baie traumatiese ervaring was. En nou vir ons tweede storie. Die Iran mynreus Rossing het hulde gebring aan werknemers wat al 45, 40, 30 en 30 jaar in diens van die myn is. 11 werknemers met 'n gesamentlike 415 jaar van aaneenlopende diens by Rossing Uranium is erken tydens 'n glansryke toekenningsseremonie wat by die Swakopmund Seaside Hotel aangebied is. By die geleentheid het die besturende direkteur van die myn, Johan Kutsie, gesê die werknemers van Rossing is van deurslaggewende belang met betrekking tot die ontwikkeling van die myn. Kutsie het gesê die feit dat sommige werknemers so lank vir Rossing werk is werklik merkwaardig. Hy het bygevoeg dat die minder ervare werknemers opkyk na die werknemers wat lank diens doen vir antwoorde wanneer hulle vrae het oor hoe om suksesvol te wees by Rossing. Kutsie het die toekenningontvangers aangemoedig om voort te gaan om as ambassadeurs vir die eksterne belanghebbendes en as voorbeeld van alle ander werknemers by die myn te dien. Rossing Uranium se hoofbestuurder vir bedrywighede, Martin Chipita, het erkenning gegee aan die vennote en families van die langdienende werknemers. Hy het ook jonger werknemers aangemoedig om die kennis van die langdienende werknemers te benut. En dan ten slotte, Erongo Marine Enterprises het 500,000 Namibiese dollar aan die One Economy Foundation se project #Be Free Center of Excellence deur die Aranganap Community Trust en Unity Community Trust geskenk. Beide trusts is begunstigdes van visvangregte. Die skenking is gemaak by die 7de One Economy Foundation se fondsinsamelings gala diner wat in Windhoek gehou is. Die besturende direkteur van EME, Dr. Martha Omati, het gesê dat die maatskappy in inklusiewe, volhoubare en bemagtigende gemeenskapsprogramme belê wat die lewens van plaaslike gemeenskappe regoor Namibië positief beïnvloed. Die #Be Free projeksentrum is tans in aanbou in Katatura en sal 'n fisiese manifestasie wees van die doel van die organisasie om 'n veilige ruimte vir die jeug te bied. Deur die fasiliteit sal jong mense en hulle ouers toegang hê tot professionele dienste, insluitend sielkundige ondersteuning, die volle spektrum van seksuele reproduktiewe gesondheidsdienste, vaardigheidsontwikkeling, adolescent, vriendelike vermaak en ander kritieke dienste. Die presidentsvrou van Namibië, Monica Geinkos, het gesê dat dit moontlik is om 'n blywende verskil in die lewens van begunstigdes te maak. Ons kollektiewe droom is nie net vir die sentrum nie, maar vir die land. Dit is hoekom langtermynverhoudings noodsaaklik is. Ons het befondsing van die private sektor nodig om die stigting te onderhou deur die vorming van vennootskappe wat die jeug dien, het Geinkos gesê. En daarmee kom ons dan aan die einde van vandag se nuusuitsending.
Irongo Talk brings you community news in the Irongo region. Irongo Talk aims to reach coastal residents, keeping them updated on what's happening in their community. This show is broadcasted on NTV, oneup2.com, and cross-shared on the following Facebook platforms: Irongo, The Republican, Algemene Zeitung, Namibian Sun, and Namibia Media Holdings. Irongo Talk focuses on community news, weather update, fishing report, helpful tips, as well as sport and entertainment. For news-related or advertising queries, contact irongotalk@synergy.com.na. Irongo Talk, our community, your news.
Ek gesels met Marshall Mini. Hoe gaan dit vandag?
Ja, kan ek is sleg, ek is baie lyfseer, nog bedek.
Ja, nou ons staan hier so by 'n oop terrein. En jy sê vir my jy het in hierdie drein geval. Wat het gebeur?
Ja, ek het van die kant af gekom loop en soos gewoonlik al iets vir my energy drink gaan koop en sigaret vir die service. En toe bevind ek myself net skielik in die drein en daar was geen cover op nie en ek was heeltemal in die drein. Ek kon niet eens uitgekom het, het was my moeilik om uit te kom in die drein uit en ek was soep met rolle en toiletpapier en van kop tot met tekens en alle dingen.
Wanneer het dat gebeur?
Het was woensdag aan 9:50.
Oké, nou sê vir my, wat sal jy wil hê moet gedoen word?
Ek wil net hê die goed moet gekyk word. Dit kan 'n kind wees. Hier is kindertjies wat hier rond speel en op en af service toe skoolkinders. As een van hulle hier ingeval het, ek kon gedood het. As hy net hier gekap het of either way, ek kon ook aan rioolwater verdrink het. En as 'n kind hierin vlieg, kan gaan doodgaan. Want net jy moet kyk na die goeders en die goeders vryg, maar hulle bou mos nou nuwe hallways. Kyk, hulle het alweer nuwe verf aangesit, maar hulle sien nog steeds die manhole staan op en het nie 'n teks in nie. Dit is nie die enigste ene nie. Daar's nog ene daar. Daai ene op hier. Die kinders val vir hulle nerf af en die mense uit van die werk af kom. Val vir hulle nerf af oor hy kry. Soos hulle trip en val op daai oor hy dan.
Ja, nou hoe het jy uitgekom nadat jy ingeval het?
Ja, my broertjie hier, ek het nou daarom gelukkig 'n bietjie gimnastiek gedoen. So ek het geklouter hier uit. En die mense staan hier, kan ek kyk vir my wat net verdwaal het en wat skielik hier vol strand hier uitkom. Ek kom net maar met my nat klere en my reuk in my huis toe skif af.
Ja, was jy by 'n kliniek, was jy by die hospitaal?
Ja, ek was by die kliniek geweest en ek gaan maandag ekstra hulle neem vir my pelvis en my heup. Want ek het mos nou op pad langs geskuur en ek het mos nou op my sy daar ingeval en daar het gevaarlik sny en goed en ek het 'n klein kakspuit gekry vir die bakterieë en die goeters. En moes ek klomp antibiotikas. Ek is letterlik lyfseer, ek is van oral as ek seer, my skouer, my rug, my hele liggaam is in pyn.
Oké, dankie.
Kom kuier gerus elke Vrydag aan saam met Arjougar, waar hy vooruitskouing doen van wat op die sportvelde reg oor die wêreld gaan plaasvind. Daar word op die naweek se top internasionale sportgeleenthede gefokus en plaaslike sport in Namibia asook Suid-Afrika word in oënskou geneem. Die kenners praat saam Die huidige asook oud spelers gee al mening en ons hoor grootlik sommer uit die spreekwoordelike perd se bek. Niemand weet met sekerheid wat die naweek op die sportveld gaan gebeur nie, maar iemand weet wel watter faktore die uitslae kan beïnvloed. Ons praat met daardie iemand wat weet, en soms word geheimhoop uitgelaat. Vrydae-aande is ons in die tonnel gereed om uit te draf. Dit is jou Vrydag afspraak wat jou ingelig gaan hou alvordat die spelers uit die tonnel opdraf. Sport is ons passie, sien jou in die tonnel.
We are all very excited about the upcoming Tourism Expo that will be taking place in November, and we will be showcasing all our exhibitors so that our viewers can know exactly what to expect. This morning in studio I have Mr. Isaskaria Kaire from the city of Windhoek. He is the Tourism Information Officer. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Thank you, too.
Thank you. Now, sir, you will be at the Tourism Expo. Why did the city of Windhoek decide to make use of this platform?
Yes, the city of Windhoek is the host city, that's one. Two, the Windhoek is the gateway to many other localities and destinations around Namibia. And the council has also taken a resolution for the tourism department or section to take part in all these expos, in the expo. So that's why.
Why is an expo of such a nature so important?
It is very important because this is a platform through which tourism services and products are showcased. It is a platform through which the suppliers of these products and services can, showcase their products to the different clients. So it's a good platform. It's a very important platform through that everybody actually needs to use to showcase what you has got to offer.
Yes, sir.